There is a place within you that has never been wounded, never been broken, never been afraid. It is the part of you that remembers the truth before the world tried to make you forget. It is not your name. It is not your story. It is not your past or your pain. It is the light, the eternal light that existed before your first breath and will remain long after your final one. And today, you are being called back to it. You have wandered far, haven't you? Into stories that were not yours, into ideas that told you you were not enough, into identities you wore like masks that eventually became too heavy to carry. You forgot the radiance you were born with. You believed that your value was something to be proven, your worth something to be earned. And so you searched in approval, in achievements, in relationships, in the endless noise of becoming. But the more you reached outward, the more disconnected you felt. The more you tried to shine by the world's dim flashlight, the more you lost sight of the blazing sun that lives inside your soul. But you are not lost. You are simply remembering. And all remembering is a form of returning. You do not need to build a new self. You only need to remove what is not you. You do not need to strive toward the light. You are the light. You do not need to fix yourself. You need to unlearn the idea that you are broken. Because nothing real can be threatened. And what is real in you has never dimmed. The soul is never in pieces. Only the mind thinks in fragments. The spirit sees only wholeness. The ego sees only lack. But you, the true you, are not the ego. You are not your fears. You are not the voice in your head that says you are too late, too flawed, too much, or not enough. That voice is a visitor. You are the awareness that watches it come and go. You are the sky, not the passing clouds. You see, the moment you begin to identify with your eternal nature, instead of your temporary conditions, a shift happens. Not a loud shift, not a dramatic lightning bolt, but a soft, deep remembering, like a whisper that says, there you are. You've always been here. The peace you seek is not something you earn through striving. It's something you allow through surrender. And the moment you stop chasing, you realize you were never running toward the truth, you were running from it. Stillness is not something you find. It is what remains when you stop running, when you stop judging, when you stop grasping for the next moment like this one is not enough. Stillness reveals the light. The light reveals the truth. And the truth sets you free not by changing anything, but by showing you what was always already free. You do not need to earn your way to the sacred. The sacred lives in you. You do not need to beg life to love you. Life has never stopped. Love is the atmosphere your soul breathes. Grace is not reserved for saints and sages. Grace is what carries you every day, even when you forget it exists, especially then. Come home to the breath. Come home to now, not the now you rush through, the now you've never fully entered. Right here, in this moment, is everything you've been seeking. The present is not just a place on the clock. It is the door to the divine. It is the only place the soul can meet you. Look at your hands. Feel your heartbeat. You are alive. You are a miracle. Not because of what you do, but because of what you are. And what you are is love, aware of itself. Have you noticed? The world teaches you to chase something more success, more attention, more improvement. But the soul whispers something different. Be still and know. Not do more and achieve, but be still and know that I am. The I am is the light. The I am is the truth. The I am is the God within you, not a deity in the clouds, but the presence that has never left you, even when you walked away from yourself. When you return to this presence, healing begins not because something outside touches you, but because you remember that what you are can never truly be harmed. The past may have shaped your form, but it has not touched your essence. The pain may have passed through your body, but it did not stain your spirit. You carry scars, yes, but those are symbols of the strength you had to heal. They are not your identity. They are reminders that even darkness must bow before the light. Let go of the identity that says, I am wounded. You are not your wound. You are the one who witnessed the wound and chose to rise. Let go of the belief that says, I am unworthy. You are not unworthy. You are the very definition of worth for the divine, chose to become you. You are not a mistake trying to be corrected. You are a miracle waiting to be remembered. And if the world tells you to fix yourself, smile inwardly. You are not here to be fixed. You are here to remember you were never broken. The ego wants answers. The soul wants peace. The ego clings. The soul flows. The ego reacts. The soul responds. The ego shouts. The soul whispers. Listen to the whisper. It is not loud, but it is true. It is not urgent, but it is eternal. That whisper is the doorway back to yourself. How many times have you been told that awakening is about becoming someone new? But true awakening is not about becoming. It is about unbecoming, peeling back the illusions, releasing the roles, dropping the labels. The labels were never you. You are not your job title. You are not your relationship status. You are not your failures. You are not your traumas. You are the one who watched them come and go. You are the one who endured and transcended. You are awareness itself. You've been taught to strive towards some higher version of yourself. But let me tell you something radical. You are already the higher version. You are simply hidden behind thought patterns and false beliefs. Like the sun behind the clouds, you have not stopped shining. You have only forgotten your own radiance. The spiritual path is not a staircase to climb. It is a return to the ground you never left. The light within you has been waiting patiently while you searched outside of yourself. But there comes a moment, maybe this is that moment, where you stop and remember the light was never gone. You simply closed your eyes. You don't need more time, you need more truth. You don't need more accomplishments, you need more presence. You don't need to gather more, you need to release. Release the guilt. It's not yours to carry. Release the resentment. It's only poisoning your peace. Release the identity built on proving yourself. You are not here to be better than anyone. You are here to be your truest self. The path to peace is not through adding, it is through subtracting. Subtracting the lies, the stories, the judgments. Underneath all that remains is stillness, presence, grace. And in that space, you meet yourself again. Not the self the world molded, but the self God breathed into being. The return to the light is not a journey of miles. It is a shift in perception. It is the moment you stop looking for the divine in temples and doctrines and begin seeing it in your breath, your body, your being. You are not separate from God. You are the expression of God. You are not on a quest to reach the divine. You are the divine remembering itself. Even now, as you hear these words, something inside you is stirring, something ancient, something sacred. It does not need convincing. It only needs space. It only needs your permission to come forth. So pause, breathe, let your thoughts pass like leaves on a stream. Let your judgments fall away like old garments. Let your soul speak. You are here, and you are enough. You are not here to accumulate power, to manipulate outcomes, or to chase meaning like it's hiding from you. You are here to awaken. You are here to shed illusions. You are here to walk yourself home, not to a location, but to a state of being, to the deep and sacred awareness that says, I remember who I am. And who you are is not what you've been through, not what they called you, not even what you called yourself in moments of pain or confusion. You are the unchanging presence behind the ever-changing story. You are not the weather of emotion. You are the sky that holds it all. There's nothing to defend here. The ego defends. The soul allows. You do not need to explain your existence. You are not a question that needs answering. You are an answer that needs remembering. You are not the mistake in need of correction. You are the miracle in need of awakening. You may have been told that God is distant, watching you from some celestial height, judging your every move. But the truth is this: God is not above you. God is within you. Not in the voice of fear, but in the quiet vibration of love. Not in punishment, but in presence. The divine is not waiting for your perfection. It is living in your imperfection. It is not seeking your sacrifice. It is offering you grace. It is not hiding. It is waiting patiently for you to turn inward and see. This is the power of your stillness. When you stop chasing, stop running, stop proving, you begin hearing. And what you hear is what you've always known, that you are already whole, already sacred, already held. The pain that once defined you, it was the fire that burned away what wasn't real. The heartbreak that shattered you, it was the doorway to a deeper compassion. The disappointment that brought you to your knees, it was the sacred teacher reminding you that you were never meant to stand on borrowed strength. You were meant to kneel in humility and rise in truth. When you stop identifying with the ego story, its need to control, to compare, to dominate, you begin to notice something softer, something quieter, a pulse of peace, a breath of divinity. That's the light returning, not because it ever left, but because you finally turned around to face it. The light is not earned, it is remembered. It's not found in the next accomplishment or the next relationship or the next improvement of who you think you are. It's in the pause between thoughts. It's in the silence between breaths. It's in the smile of a stranger, the warmth of a sunrise, the stillness of an ordinary moment when you suddenly feel home. You were not created to suffer endlessly. You were not placed here to carry generational burdens like chains around your ankles. You were created to remember your power, to remember your presence, to remember that you are a vessel of God's awareness walking in human form, not separate, not forgotten, not abandoned, but chosen, remembered, and sacred. So what now? Now you forgive. Not because the other deserves it, but because your soul does. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is strength that no longer needs a sword. It is you saying, I will not drink the poison of resentment one more day. I choose peace. I choose freedom. I choose to release what was never mine to carry. You forgive yourself too, for not knowing, for holding on, for playing small, for mistaking survival for life. There is no shame in the path that brought you here. Every wound was a crack through which the light could enter. Every mistake was a detour on the map of your soul's remembering. You are not behind, you are right on time. Return to the breath. Feel it fill your chest. That is life saying yes to you over and over again, not because you earned it, but because you are it. You are life, you are breath, you are love in motion. And every time you forget, return again. Every time the fear comes, return again. Every time the mind pulls you into anxiety, into judgment, into old stories, return. Return to now. Return to the stillness. Return to the light within. There is no final destination, no someday where you will be finally fully okay. There is only this moment. And the more you enter it, not with force, but with surrender, the more you realize this moment is enough. This breath is enough. This you right now is enough. Can you feel it? The release, the loosening, the sacred exhale that says, I don't have to fight anymore. That is the soul awakening. That is you coming home. You see, the great illusion is that you had to do something to become spiritual, but you were never not spiritual. Spirituality is not something you do, it is something you are. You are spirit. temporarily human but eternally divine, temporarily confused but eternally whole, temporarily afraid but eternally held. So walk with grace now, not as someone searching for love, but as someone radiating it, not as someone climbing toward peace, but as someone breathing it, not as someone begging for light, but as someone remembering, I am the light. Every flower blooms in its own time. Every soul awakens in its own season. There is no rush, there is only unfolding. The lotus does not bloom by force. It blooms by allowing, and so must you. You do not need to be louder, brighter, or faster. You only need to be truer. And the truest thing about you is not what the world has labeled you. It is not what you do. It is not how others see you. The truest thing about you is love. Now, breathe into that truth. Hold it like a sacred ember and let it burn away every lie. Let it burn away every story of unworthiness. Let it burn until all that remains is the light. Your light, the eternal light, the light within. And when you walk through this world in silence, or in song, in joy, or in pain, let that light lead the way. Let it pour through your words. Let it soften your eyes. Let it fill every space you enter. You don't have to say a word. Your presence will be the sermon. Your stillness will be the teaching. Your love will be the proof. This is not the end of your journey. This is the beginning of your return. Your return to truth. Your return to wholeness. Your return to the light within. Do not mistake comfort for peace. One is an illusion of the senses, the other a recognition of the soul. Many cling to what is familiar because it feels safe, not realizing that safety built on fear is not safety. It is a prison disguised as a refuge. True peace does not arise from the absence of discomfort. It blossoms in the presence of truth. And truth, when embraced, will shake the foundations of everything false, not to punish you, but to liberate you from the life you were never meant to settle for. You cannot ascend while gripping the ground. The soul cannot soar when the mind demands control. Let your grasp soften. Let the tension that has kept you locked in patterns of anxiety dissolve into the gentle realization that nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal was ever worth protecting. When you release your need to manage the uncontrollable, you create space for miracles. You become available to grace. Do not search for your light in someone else's reflection. You were not born to imitate the fire of another. You are not here to echo, but to express. There is a rhythm, a radiance, a tone that is uniquely yours. When you stop looking outward and begin listening inward, you will hear it. That subtle hum, that quiet vibration, the ancient echo that says, this is me and I am enough. Life does not require your perfection, it invites your presence. And the more you resist your imperfections, the more you reject the very doorway through which your healing walks. You cannot awaken while shaming the parts of you that sleep. Speak to your shadows not as enemies, but as messengers. They do not come to torment, they come to teach. They are not flaws in your design, but fabric in your becoming. Bow to them, listen, learn, and release. Let silence become your sanctuary. Not the silence of avoidance, but the fertile silence where the sacred speaks. It does not shout. It will never compete with your distractions. It waits until you are ready to hear what you've been too busy to feel. In this silence, you do not need to do. You only need to be. And in the being, everything begins to realign with a wisdom that cannot be understood, only trusted. There is a profound intelligence moving through all things. It orchestrates galaxies without your permission. It beats your heart without your command. Why do you doubt that it will not also guide your path? You were not dropped here without purpose. You are a note in a divine melody, a word in a sacred poem, a breath in the eternal lungs of God. When you surrender to this intelligence, You move not with effort, but with grace. You do not need to defend your path to anyone. What is real does not need convincing. What is sacred cannot be explained. Let those who misunderstand walk their own journey, bless them, release them, and return to your own becoming. Your job is not to be understood by the world. Your job is to become a vessel through which truth can live, even if the world is not ready to hear it. No longer seek to be chosen. You were chosen the moment you arrived. No longer seek to be worthy. Worthiness is not a currency, it is your essence. It is not granted by others, it is remembered within. You are not applying for approval from life. You are life. You are the pulse of creation, the whisper of consciousness shaped into form. You do not need to ask for permission to be who you already are. Allow softness to lead. The world may tell you that strength is hardness, armor, impenetrability. But the deepest strength is found in vulnerability, in the courage to remain open when it would be easier to close. Do not become bitter in response to betrayal. Do not become cold in response to pain. Become clearer, become quieter, become so deeply rooted in the truth of your being that nothing can pull you from it. The soul is not fragile, it is unshakable. You who have been through storm and silence, through ache and awakening, you have not been broken. You have been initiated. You have been shaped not into something new, but into someone real. The pain did not disfigure you. It revealed the depth of your being. And now you stand not in the ruins, but in the rebirth. Let others rise in their own time. You are not responsible for anyone else's awakening. Be the light, not the force. Be the invitation, not the instruction. Your example, your peace, your presence, that is your offering. Let the world be drawn to your flame, not burned by your need to change it. Remember, the lighthouse does not chase the ships, it simply shines. As you walk, walk slowly. The soul is never in a hurry. It knows that everything meant for you will find you in the right season. You do not need to chase, you only need to align. With each breath, each surrender, each courageous act of letting go, you come into greater harmony with the truth that you are already home. The path was never outside of you. It was never hidden in a mountaintop or buried in some distant future. It has always been where you least thought to look, beneath your own stillness. The treasure is not ahead of you, it is within you, and you carry it everywhere you go. Return to it, not with force, but with reverence. You are not the caterpillar crawling toward transformation. You are the butterfly remembering its wings. And it does not need to struggle to fly, it only needs to stop clinging to the branch of who it used to be. So exhale. Let the story of struggle fall away. Let the identity of the seeker soften. You have sought long enough. You have wrestled with shadows long enough. You have carried burdens that were never yours to begin with. This is your moment of release. This is your return. Not to a version of you that is polished and proven, but to the version of you that is honest and holy. Return now, not to the self you were told to be, but to the self you were born as. Return to the quiet knowing. Return to the breath that connects you to the infinite. Return to the presence that never leaves. Return to the light within. You are no longer required to chase the illusion of becoming. The path now is not upward, but inward, not a ladder to climb, but a veil to lift. Beneath the surface of striving is a deeper invitation to dissolve the performance, to meet life without the costume, to enter the sacred not as a seeker, but as one who finally dares to see. See what? That you have always belonged, that you have never fallen out of alignment, only out of awareness. Every attempt to be more has quietly whispered that you are not yet, but that whisper was never yours. It was inherited, conditioned, rehearsed. Now, there is a different voice, not loud, but rooted in peace, that doesn't ask you to evolve into someone greater, but to dissolve into something truer. It doesn't say, change yourself. but reveal what has been hidden under layers of pretending. This presence, this clarity, it does not come from mastering life's complexity. It comes from unlearning the beliefs that made you forget how simple it is to be. It doesn't demand force or will. It invites openness. Openness is not passivity. It is power in its most honest form, the kind that doesn't need to dominate to feel safe. It simply stands anchored in what is. If you listen closely, you will feel that life has never truly asked you to be extraordinary. It has asked you to be real, to be fully available to what is true now, not what was, not what could be, but what quietly lives under this breath, in this heartbeat, in this exact moment of surrender. Realness doesn't need embellishment. It needs space. So much of your pain has come not from what happened, but from the effort to hold together who you thought you had to be in the aftermath. You are not the guardian of an identity. You are the space in which all identities dissolve. When you stop defending your idea of self, you begin to feel something greater than self, something vast, awake, and perfectly still. Your growth is not a straight line. It is a spiral, drawing you again and again back to the same lessons, but each time from a new elevation. Don't resent the revisiting. It is not regression. It is refinement. You are being sculpted, not punished, carved into presence, into honesty, into your original shape. Let yourself be emptied, not because there is something wrong with what you carry, but because space is sacred, and it is only in emptiness that the fullness of being can settle in. The mind seeks to fill, the soul seeks to clear. Let what is heavy leave you, not by effort, but by non-resistance. Let your truth be light enough to rise. The call is subtle, but constant, to live without armor, to step through the world not with guardedness, but with gentleness, rooted in trust. Not blind trust in outcomes, but deep trust in your own aliveness. The kind that doesn't shrink in chaos. The kind that recognizes change not as a threat, but as a sacred movement of life through form. You don't need to protect yourself from truth. You only need to stop shielding yourself from its light. Light does not harm. It reveals. It clarifies. It dissolves confusion not by explanation, but by illumination. Let it shine not on who you pretend to be, but on who you have always been beneath the pretending. If you've forgotten what that feels like, don't worry. The forgetting was part of the path. There is no shame in being human. There is only learning, remembering, and the soft courage to begin again. Again, not from the beginning, but from where you are, without illusion, without defense. Can you meet yourself there? Can you allow the silence between thoughts to become your teacher? Can you trust that what you feel when all else fades is enough? You don't need a dramatic transformation. You don't need the stars to align. All you need is to see clearly, to feel wholly, to be sincerely here. That's where the miracle lives. Not in changing the world, but in being so present that even the ordinary becomes holy. This is not the conclusion of your journey. This is the flowering of a new awareness. Not towards something better, but into something deeper. A presence that doesn't need explanation. A being that doesn't need validation. A soul that has stopped wandering and started listening. Let life move through you now without resistance. Let your breath arrive without interference. Let your awareness expand without fear. Let your heart be your compass, not your guard. And most of all, let each moment arrive without condition. Because this breath, this awareness, this quiet is enough. And in its quiet enoughness, you will know what all the seeking was for.
My dear friends, imagine yourself in a garden of your own creation. This garden is your mind and the flowers that bloom. Here are your thoughts, your beliefs, and your reactions to the world around you. Now picture a weed sprouting among your carefully tended roses. This weed represents a person, a situation, or a circumstance that no longer serves your highest good, what do? Do you fight it, argue with it, or treason reason with it? No, my beloved, you simply cut it off silently, effortlessly, without reaction. For in this world of Caesar, we are bombarded with stimuli that seek to provoke us, to elicit a reaction, to draw us into the drama of the external. But I say unto you, the power lies not in reacting, but in your capacity to remain unmoved, to cut off that which does not align with your desired state of being. Remember, the whole vast world is no more than one's imagining pushed out. If you react to every provocation, every slight, every perceived injustice, you are giving life to that which you do not desire. You are watering the weeds in your garden, allowing them to flourish and choke out the beauty you wish to cultivate. But when you choose not to react, when you cut off silently that which does not serve you, you are exercising the divine power within you. You are declaring to the universe, this has no place in my world. And the universe, my friends, has no choice but to conform to your imagination. For you are the operant power. Consider the words of Scripture, be still and know that I am God. This stillness, this non-reaction is not passive. It is the most powerful action you can take. For in your stillness, you are affirming your true nature as the God of your reality. When you find yourself tempted to react, to defend, to explain, or to justify, take a deep breath and remember who you truly are. You are not a mere Mozart buffeted by the winds of circumstance. You are the dream of this dream we call life. And just as in a night dream, you have the power to change the scene, to alter the script, to cut off silently that which does not belong in your ideal state. Imagine for a moment that you are watching a play. The actors on stage are performing their roles, some to your liking, others not. Now would you leap onto the stage, arguing with the actors, trying to change their performance? Of course not. You would simply watch, knowing that it is all a play, a grand illusion. This, my dear friends, is how you must view your life. When someone attempts to provoke you, to pull you into their drama, see it for what it is, a play, a dream, an illusion. Do not react. Do not give it the power of your attention or your emotion. Instead, in your imagination, calmly and silently cut them off. Remove them from your stage. For you are the author of this play, the dreamer of this dream. But never, you might say, how can I simply cut off those who upset me? They are my family, my colleagues, my neighbors. To this I say, you are not cutting off the person, but the state they represent in your world. You are cutting off the version of them that does not align with your ideal. In doing so, you allow space for a new version to emerge, one that is in harmony with your desires. Remember, an assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. If you persist in the assumption that you must react to every provocation, that you are at the mercy of others' behaviors, then this will become your reality. But if you assume the state of one who is unmoved by external circumstances, who cuts off silently all that does not serve, then this too will harden into fact. Think of the great masters throughout history. Did they react to every criticism, every attack? No, they remained steadfast in their conviction, silent in their power. They understood that to react is to give power to that which you oppose. To cut off silently is to reclaim your power, to assert your dominion over your world. In your daily life, practice this art of non-reaction. When someone speaks harshly to you, do not retaliate. When circumstances seem to go against you, do not complain. Instead, in your imagination, see yourself rising above it all, untouched and unmoved. Fear the peace that comes with this state of being. For in your non-reaction and your silent cutting off, you are declaring, Ineffable. This practice may seem challenging at first. The world of Caesar has conditioned us to react, to defend, to fight. But I tell you, this is the way of the old man. We are called to put on the new man, to claim our divine inheritance as creators of our reality. And in this new state, we do not fight against what we do not want. We simply remove it from our consciousness. Imagine a room in your mind. In this room are all the people, situations, and circumstances of your life. Now see yourself as the master of this room. You have the power to rearrange it as you see fit. Those elements that do not belong in your ideal state, simply and silently remove them. Do not argue with them. Do not try to change them. Simply escort them out of your mental room. This, my friends, is the art of cutting off silently. It is not done with malice or anger, but with the calm assurance of one who knows their true identity. For you are not a mere mortal, subject to the whims of others. You are a divine being, creating your reality moment by moment through your imagination. But never, you might ask, what if these people or situations persist in my physical reality? To this I say, persist in your new assumption. Remember, the outer world is a shadow, a reflection of your inner state. As you maintain your inner stillness, as you consistently cut off in your imagination that which does not serve you, the outer world has no choice but to conform. Consider the story of Joseph in the Bible. His brothers sought to harm him, to provoke him. But Joseph did not react. He cut them off silently in his consciousness, holding fast to his vision of greatness. And in time, his outer world conformed to his inner conviction. His brothers, who once sought to destroy him, came to bow before him. This, my beloved, is the power that lies within you, the power to remain unmoved, to cut off silently all that does not align with your ideal state. It is not a power that fights against the unwanted, but a power that simply removes it from your consciousness, leaving no room for it to manifest in your world. As you go about your day, practice this art. When someone cuts you off in traffic, resist the urge to react. Instead, in your imagination, see yourself gliding smoothly to your destination, unperturbed by the actions of others. When a colleague speaks ill of you, do not defend yourself. In your mind, cut off this version of your colleague, replacing it with one who respects and admires you. Remember, consciousness is the only reality. All that you experience in the outer world is but a reflection of your in-state. By refusing to react, by cutting off silently that which does not serve you, you are shaping your consciousness. And as your consciousness changes, so too must your world. This practice requires vigilance, my friends. The world of Caesar will constantly attempt to turn you back into Joliman. But stand firm in your conviction. Know that you are the operant power in your reality. No one and nothing can provoke you without your consent. Imagine for a moment a pond. When a stone is thrown into the pond, it creates ripples that disturb the entire surface. This is what happens when you react to the provocations of the world. But now imagine that same pond, its surface as smooth as glass. When a stone is thrown, it simply sinks to the bottom, leaving the surface undisturbed. This is the state of consciousness you are called to embody. In your silence, in your non-reaction, you are declaring to the universe, I am unmoved by the illusions of the world. I stand firm in my true identity as the creator of my reality. And the universe has no choice but to conform to this declaration. But my dear friends, understand that this practice of cutting off silently is not about suppressing your emotions or denying yours. It is about rising above them, transcending the level at which they occur. It is about shifting your identity from the reactive human to the guide, the divine. When you find yourself tempted to react, to argue, to defend, pause, take a deep breath and ask yourself, who am I? Am I this reactive being butter, kitted by the winds of circumstance? Or am I the creator of my reality, the master of my world? As you affirm your true identity, you will see it easier to cut off silently all that does not align with your ideal state. Consider the example of Jesus when he was brought before peace. The world expected him to react, to defend himself against the false accusations. But what did he do? He remained silent. He cut off the entire drama silently, knowing that it was but an illusion, a play in the world of Caesar. He stood firm in his true identity, unmoved by the provocations around him. This, my beloved, is the power you are called to embody, the power to stand in the midst of chaos, unmoved and unshaken, the power to cut off silently all that does not serve your highest good. For in doing so, you are declaring your mastery over your world. Imagine for a moment that you are standing on a mountaintop. Below you, you can see the dramas and conflicts of the world playing out. But from your vantage point, they seem small, insignificant. This is the perspective you must cultivate. Rise above the petty provocations of the world. View them from the mountaintop of your divine consciousness. From this elevated state, cutting off silently becomes effortless. You no longer feel the need to engage with that which does not serve you. You simply remove it from your consciousness, knowing that what you do not energize with your attention cannot persist in your world. But remember, my friends, this practice is not about escaping the world or hiding from its challenges. It is about mastering the world, about claiming your divine power as the creator of your reality. It is about being in the world, but not of it, as the scripture says. As you go about your day vigilant, notice the moments when you feel compelled to react, to defend, to argue. These are the opportunities to practice your divine power. In these moments, pause, take a deep breath, remember who you truly are, and then silently and effortlessly cut off that which does not align with your ideal thought. Imagine yourself as a grand sculptor, chiseling away at the marble of your life. Each act of cutting off silently is a stroke of your chisel, removing that which does not belong in your masterpiece. With each stroke, your true self, your ideal state, emerges more clearly. This practice, my dear friends, is the key to mastering your world. For when you no longer react to the provocations of the external, when you cut off silently all that does not serve you, you are truly free. You are no longer a slave to circumstances, but the master of your destiny. Consider the words of Scripture, be in the world, but not of the world. This is the state you are called to embody. You are here in this world of Caesar, but you are not bound by his rules, his dramas, his provocations. You are of a higher order, a divine being temporarily clothed in human form. As you practice this art of cutting off silently, you will begin to notice a change in your world. Those who once provoked you will find themselves transformed in your presence. Circumstances that once seemed challenging will resolve themselves from seas, for you are no longer feeding these unwanted elements with your reaction, your attention, your energy. Imagine a bardenard once more, but this time see yourself as the gardener. With calm assurance, you move through your garden, cutting away the weeds, pruning the overgrowth, shaping the landscape to match your vision. This is how you must move through your life, calmly, silently cutting away all that does not belong in your ideal state. But remember, my beloved, this cutting off is not done with anger or resentment. It is done with love, with the understanding that all is you pushed out. Even those elements you choose to remove are part of you, playing their role in your grand awakening. Thank them silently for their service, and then release them from your consciousness. As you master this practice, you will find yourself moving through the world with a new sense of peace, a new sense of power. The dramas and conflicts that once seemed so important will fade into insignificance. You will stand unmoved in the center of your world, the calm eye in the storm of life. But do not mistake this state for passivity, my friends. This is the most active, most powerful state you can embody. For in your non-reaction, in your silent cutting off, you are actively shaping your world. You are exercising your divine right as the creator of your reality. Imagine for a moment that you are the director of a grand play. The actors come to you, asking how they should perform their roles. But instead of giving them direction, you simply remove from the stage those whose performance does not align with your vision. This is how you must direct the play of your life. Not by trying to change or control others, but by simply removing from your consciousness that which does not serve your ideal. As you practice this art, you may find that some around you do not understand. They may try to provoke you, to pull you back into the old patterns of reaction. But stand firm in your new state. Remember, you are saved by your assumption. Assume the state of one who is unmoved by external provocations, who cuts off silently all that does not serve, and this state will become your reality. Consider the example of a mighty oak tree. When the winds blow, does the oak fight against them? Does it react to every gust? No, it stands firm, rooted deep in the earth, unmoved by the temporary chaos around it. This, my dear friends, is how you must stand in your world, rooted deep in the knowledge of your true identity, unmoved by the winds of circumstance. As you move through your day, be aware of the temptations to react, to engage with that which does serve you. These temptations will come, for the world of Caesar is designed to provoke. So is its reaction. But in these moments, remember who you truly are. Remember your power to cut off silently, to remove from your consciousness all that does not align with your ideal state. Imagine yourself as a projector, casting the film of your life onto the screen of the world. When an unwanted scene appears, do you argue with the screen? Do you try to change the image by manipulating the projection? No, you simply change the film and the projector. This, my beloved, is how you must view your life. Do not try to change the outer world directly. Change your inner film, your consciousness, and the outer world will have no choice but to conform. As you master this practice, you will find that your world begins to transform. Those who once provoked you will find themselves transformed in their presence. Circumstances that once seemed challenging will resolve themselves with ease, for you are no longer feeding these unwanted elements with your reaction, your attention, your energy. But remember, this transformation does not happen overnight. It requires patience, persistence, and above all, faith. Faith in your true identity as the creator of your reality. Faith in your power to cut off silently all that does not serve you. Faith that as you change your consciousness, your world must change to match it. Consider the words of Scripture, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. As you practice cutting off silently, you may not see immediate results in your outer world. But have faith, my dear friends. Know that with each act of non-reaction, with each silent removal of the unwanted from your consciousness, you are shaping your world at the deepest level. Imagine a sculptor once more, chiseling away at a block of marble. With each stroke of the chisel, the unwanted falls away, revealing the masterpiece within. But this revealing takes time. It requires patience and persistence. So, too with your life. Each act of cutting off silently is a stroke of your chisel, revealing the masterpiece of your ideal state. As you go about your day, be vigilant. Notice the moments when you feel compelled to react, to defend, to argue. These are the opportunities to practice your divine power. In these moments, pause, take a deep breath. Remember who you truly are, and then silently and effortlessly cut off that which does not align with your ideal state. But my dear friends, understand that this practice is not about suppressing your emotions or denying your experiences. It is about rising above them, transcending the level at which they occur. It is about shifting your identity from the reactive human to the creative divine. When you find yourself tempted to react, to argue, to defend, pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, who am I? Am I this reactive being buffeted by the winds of circumstance? Or am I the creator of my reality, the master of my world? As you affirm your true identity, you will find it easier to cut off silently all that does not align with your ideal state. Remember, an assumption, though false, if persisted, it will harden into fact. If you persist in the assumption that you are unmoved by external provocations, that you have the power to cut off silently all that does not serve you, then this will become your reality. The world around you will have no choice but to conform to your new state of consciousness. Imagine for a moment that you are standing in a room full of mirrors. Each mirror reflects a different aspect of your life, your relationships, your work, your health, your finances. Now see you turning away from these mirrors, closing your eyes, and imagining the perfect reflection in each area you are looking at. As you open your eyes, the mirrors have changed to reflect your inner vision. This, my beloved, is how you must view your world. Turn away from the unwanted reflections, cut them off silently in your mind, and hold fast to your vision of the ideal. As you practice this art of non-reaction, of cutting off silently, you may find that it becomes easier with time. What once provoked a strong reaction may barely register in your consciousness. This is a sign of your growing mastery, your deepening understanding of your true identity as the creator of your reality. But do not become complacent, my dear friends. The world of Caesar is ever ready to pull you back into old patterns of reaction. Stay vigilant. Continue to practice your art of silent removal of non-reaction. For it is through this constant practice that you solidify your new state of being. Consider the words of Scripture, "Put off the old man with his deeds, and put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him." This putting off of the old man, this putting on of the new, is not a one-time event. It is a continuous process, a daily practice of cutting off silently all that does not align with your true divine self. As you move through your world, be aware of the subtle ways in which you may be tempted to react. It may not always be obvious provocation. Sometimes it may be a gentle pull to engage in gossip, to complain about circumstances, to judge others. But remember, all of these are forms of reaction, ways of giving power to that which you do not desire in your world. In these moments, practice your art. Cut off these tendencies silently in your mind. See yourself rising above them, unmoved and unaffected, for in your non-reaction, in your silent removal of the unwanted, you are declaring your mastery over your world. Imagine yourself as a king or queen, seated on the throne of your consciousness. From this elevated position, you observe the dramas and conflicts of your kingdom, but instead of engaging with them directly, you simply decree their removal. This, my beloved, is how you must rule your world, not through force or reaction, but through the calm, silent exercise of your divine authority. As you practice this art, you may find that others begin to notice a change in you. They may comment on your newfound peace, your unshakable calm. Do not be swayed by their observations, whether positive or negative. Remember, you are not doing this for the approval of others, but for the alignment of your outer world with your inner ideal. Consider the example of a master pianist. When a wrong note is played, does the pianist stop and argue with the piano? Does he react with frustration or anger? No. He simply continues playing, allowing the correct notes to naturally replace the wrong ones. This is how you must move through your life. When the wrong notes of circumstance are played, do not react. You may continue to play the melody of your ideal state, knowing that the harmony of your world must eventually align with your inner song. But remember, my dear friends, this practice of cutting off silently is not about creating a perfect problem-free life. It is about maintaining your center, your true identity, regardless of external circumstances. It is about being in the world, but not of it. As the scripture says, as you go about your day, be aware of the many opportunities to practice your art. In any situation, each unwanted circumstance is not a problem to be solved, but an opportunity to affirm your mastery. See these moments as gifts, chances to strengthen your understanding of who you truly are. Imagine a vast ocean. On the surface, waves crash and storms rage. But deep below, in the depths of the ocean, all is calm and still. This is how you must be in your world. Let the surface events of your life crash and storm, if they will, but maintain your deep, unshakable calm. For it is from this depth that you exercise your true power to shape your reality. As you master this practice, you will find that your world begins to reflect your inner state more and more. Those who once provoked you may find themselves inexplicably drawn to your calm presence. Circumstances that once seemed challenging may resolve themselves with surprising ease. For you are no longer feeding these elements with your reaction, your attention, your energy. But do not become attached to these outer changes, my beloved. Remember, your power lies not in controlling the outer world, but in mastering your inner state. Continue to practice your art of cutting off silently, of non-reaction, regardless of what appears in your outer world. For it is your consistent inner state that ultimately shapes your reality. Consider the words of Scripture. The kingdom of God is within you. This kingdom is your consciousness, your inner world. As you rule this inner kingdom with wisdom and non-reaction, cutting off silently all that does not serve your highest good, your outer world must conform. Reflect your inner mastery. As we conclude this discourse, my dear friends, remember that the practice of cutting off silently, of not reacting, is not a passive state. It is the most powerful, most active state you can embody. For in your silence, in your non-reaction, you are exercising your divine right as the creator of your reality. Go forth into your world with this new understanding. Practice your art of silent removal, of non-reaction. Know that with each moment of calm in the face of provocation, with each silent cutting off of the unwanted, you are shaping your world at the deepest level. You are declaring your true identity as the master of your reality, the author of your life story. And above all, have faith. Faith in your true identity. Faith in your power to shape your world through your consciousness. Faith that as you maintain your inner calm, as you cut off silently all that does not serve you, your outer world must inevitably align with your inner ideal. For you are not mere mortals subject to the whims of circumstance. You are divine beings, creators of your reality. Embrace this truth. Live from this understanding, and watch as your world transforms to reflect the majesty of your true self.